There is a moment that happens in almost every life, though most people never talk about it. You are standing somewhere ordinary, a grocery store, a parking lot, the hallway of your own home, and something shifts, not in the world around you, in the way the world feels. For a fraction of a second, the solidity of everything becomes suspect. The walls, the floor, the weight of your own body, all of it flickers, the way a screen flickers when the refresh rate drops just low enough for you to catch it. And then it passes. You shake it off. You grab your keys. You check your phone. You move on. But somewhere underneath the ordinary momentum of your day, a question has been planted. A question you did not ask for, and one you cannot quite get rid of. What if what just happened was not a glitch in your perception? What if it was a glimpse of what your perception has been hiding from you all along? If you clicked on this video, something in you already suspects the answer, and I am not going to soften it. What physics has been quietly uncovering for the last 3 decades, and what ancient tradition encoded in metaphor thousands of years before that, points to the same unsettling, liberating conclusion. The universe you think you live in, the 3-dimensional solid material world of separate objects and empty space between them, does not exist in the way you believe it does. What exists is something far stranger, something that behaves at the deepest level we can currently measure, exactly like a hologram. And you are not observing it from the outside. You are already inside it. You have always been inside it. The question is not whether this is true. The question is what changes when you finally stop pretending it is not. Let me take you somewhere specific. The year is 1997. A theoretical physicist named Juan Maldacena, working at Harvard, publishes a paper that detonates quietly through the world of theoretical physics. It is called The Large N Limit of Superconformal Field Theories and Supergravity, which is exactly the kind of title designed to make normal people look away. But what it describes is extraordinary. Maldacena demonstrates a mathematical correspondence, now known as the ADS-CFT correspondence, between a 5-dimensional space that includes gravity and a 4-dimensional boundary of that space where gravity does not exist. In plain language, he shows that a universe with gravity and depth and volume can be perfectly, completely described by information encoded on a flat boundary with one fewer dimension, like a hologram. Not metaphorically like a hologram, mathematically equivalent to one. Now, this was not some fringe conjecture. Within 2 years, Maldacena's paper became the most cited paper in the history of high-energy physics. Thousands of physicists built on it. Not because it was a beautiful idea, though it was, because the math worked. Every calculation on the 5-dimensional side could be translated into a calculation on the 4-dimensional boundary, and the answers matched. Perfectly. Every time. What this means, if you are willing to sit with it, is that the dimension you experience as depth, the feeling that you can reach out and touch something in front of you, that objects exist at various distances from your body, that space extends in 3 directions around you, maybe a projection. Not an illusion in the sense that it is fake. A projection in the sense that the information generating it is encoded somewhere else, on a surface you cannot see, in a language your senses were never built to read. This is the holographic principle, and it did not start with Maldacena. It started with black holes. In the early 1970s, Jacob Bekenstein, a graduate student working under John Wheeler at Princeton, asked a question that should not have led where it led. He wanted to know how much information a black hole contains. The assumption at the time was that information in physics scales with volume. If you have a room, the amount of information you can pack into it depends on how big the room is. More volume, more information. Bekenstein showed this was wrong. He demonstrated that the maximum amount of information that can be contained within any region of space is proportional not to its volume, but to its surface area, the boundary, not the interior, the skin of the thing, not the body of it. Stephen Hawking initially resisted this. He argued that information falling into a black hole was destroyed, which led to what became known as the black hole information paradox, one of the deepest unsolved problems in physics. But as the decades unfolded, the resolution kept pointing in the same direction Bekenstein had indicated. The information is not inside, it is on the surface. Gerard 't Hooft, a Nobel laureate, formalized this into what he explicitly called the holographic principle in 1993. Leonard Susskind developed it further, and then Maldacena gave it its most precise mathematical form. The convergence was not subtle. Physicist after physicist, working from different angles, kept arriving at the same destination. The three-dimensional interior of any bounded region of space can be completely described by information on its two-dimensional boundary. The inside is a projection of the outside. The depth is an encoding of the surface. If this is beginning to shift something in you, if you can feel the edges of your assumptions starting to soften, take a moment and hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, because we go deep into these ideas regularly, and what comes next goes even further. If you've been doing everything right and reality still hasn't shifted, this is the one thing nobody has told you. You meditate, you visualize, you affirm every single morning, and still, somehow, the life you're calling in stays just out of reach. It is not your effort. It is not your mindset. There is something underneath all of it, quietly running the show. I am hosting a free live transmission where I walk you through exactly what that is and how to finally shift it at the root. The link to register is in the description below. Save your seat. The moment you see this, you will understand why you could not see it before. Now pause here with me for a moment, because this is where most people nod along intellectually and then proceed to live as though they never heard it. And I understand why. The implications are so total, so disorienting, that the mind has a kind of immune response. It files the information under interesting physics and moves on. But I want you to stay here. I want you to feel what this actually means for the room you are sitting in right now. Look at the space in front of you. There is distance there. Between your eyes and whatever surface is across from you, there is what feels like volume. Emptiness with dimension. That is the experience of three-dimensional space. And what the holographic principle says is that this experience, this felt sense of depth and distance and volume, may be generated by information that is not distributed through that volume at all. The information is on a boundary, and your consciousness, your perceptual system, is rendering it as depth. The way a holographic plate, when lit by coherent light, projects an image that appears to have three dimensions, even though all the information is stored on a flat surface. You are not looking at reality. You are looking at a rendering of reality. And the rendering is so seamless, so total, so consistent, that you have mistaken the projection for the projector. This is not where the story ends. This is where it begins. Because once you understand that the universe may be holographic in structure, a cascade of other things suddenly makes sense. Things that were anomalies become expected. Things that seemed mystical become mechanical. And the relationship between your consciousness and the world you inhabit shifts from passive observation to something far more active and far more consequential. Let me take you to the second piece. There is an experiment in quantum physics that has been performed thousands of times since it was first conceived, and it still disturbs physicists who think about it carefully. It is called the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment, and it was most famously carried out by Yoon-Ho Kim and colleagues in 1999. The setup is intricate, but the core of it is this. A photon is sent toward a double slit. Under normal conditions, when no one is checking which slit the photon goes through, it behaves as a wave. It creates an interference pattern on the detector, the telltale signature of a wave passing through both slits simultaneously and interfering with itself. But when a detector is placed to determine which slit the photon passed through, the interference pattern vanishes. The photon behaves as a particle. It goes through one slit or the other. This is the basic measurement problem, and it is strange enough on its own. But the delayed choice eraser goes further. In this experiment, the which path information is recorded, but then it is erased after the photon has already hit the detector. And here is what defies every intuition you have about time and causality. When the which path information is erased, the interference pattern reappears, even though the photon has already been detected. Even though, in any normal understanding of time, the event is over. The erasure of information in the future changes the pattern that was recorded in the past. Sit with that for a moment. The future is reaching back and editing the past. Or more precisely, the availability of information, the knowability of a path, determines the behavior of a particle, and this determination is not bound by the direction of time. Now, in a normal, solid, three-dimensional universe made of independent objects moving through absolute time, this makes no sense. It is inexplicable. But in a holographic universe, where time and space are projections of deeper informational relationships, it makes perfect sense. Because in a hologram, the information is not organized by location or by sequence. It is organized by relationship. Every part of a holographic plate contains information about the whole image. Cut a hologram in half, and you do not get half the image. You get the whole image at lower resolution. The information is distributed, entangled, non-local. There is no here and there at the level of the encoding. There is no before and after. Those are features of the projection, not of the source. The delayed choice experiment is not breaking the rules of physics. It is showing you that the rules you thought were fundamental, the rules of sequence and locality and separation, are rules of the projection. And the deeper rules, the ones operating at the level of the encoding, do not respect those boundaries. Because those boundaries do not exist at that level. I want to pause here and ask you something. Have you ever had a moment where reality flickered for you? Where the solidity of things wavered and you sensed something deeper underneath? Tell me about it in the comments. I think you will find you are not alone in this. This is where consciousness enters the picture, and not as a metaphor. Not as a spiritual add-on to make the physics feel meaningful. As a necessary component of the physics itself. The measurement problem in quantum mechanics, the fact that observation changes what is observed, has never been resolved. There are interpretations that try to avoid giving consciousness a role. The many worlds interpretation says every possibility happens in a branching universe. The decoherence program says the environment acts as the observer, but none of these interpretations eliminate the central puzzle. Something determines which outcome becomes actual. Something collapses the wave function, or selects the branch, or triggers the decoherence. And in every experimental setup we have ever devised, that something correlates with the presence of an observer. With awareness, with the act of looking. John von Neumann, one of the greatest mathematicians of the 20th century, analyzed this rigorously in his 1932 book on the mathematical foundations of quantum mechanics. He traced the chain of measurement from the particle to the detector, to the amplifier, to the recording device, to the human eye, to the brain. And he showed that at no point in the physical chain does the wave function collapse on its own. The collapse, he concluded, requires something outside the physical chain. He called it the abstract ego. Others have called it consciousness. The point is the same. The projection does not complete itself. It requires an observer to render. In a holographic universe, this is not mysterious. It is architectural. A hologram does not display its image until coherent light passes through it. The information is there, encoded on the plate, but it remains latent, potential, unrendered, until the right kind of light activates it. Consciousness, in this framework, is the coherent light. It is what renders the projection. Without it, the information exists, but the world does not appear. You are not a passive witness to a universe that would look exactly the same without you. You are the process by which the hologram becomes a world. And here is where this stops being abstract physics and starts being the most practical thing you have ever heard. Because if you are the rendering mechanism, then the quality of your consciousness directly affects the quality of what gets rendered. Not metaphorically, structurally. Think about what happens when you are in a state of deep anxiety. Your perceptual field narrows. Colors seem to drain. Time distorts, usually speeding up in a frantic, compressed way. Other people become threats or obstacles. Possibilities contract. The future becomes a single dark corridor. Now think about what happens when you are in a state of genuine presence, genuine openness. The perceptual field widens. Details emerge that were invisible before. Time seems to slow and deepen. Other people become dimensional, complex, interesting. Possibilities multiply. The future becomes a landscape rather than a corridor. You have been taught to think of these as subjective differences, as if the world stays the same and only your feelings about it change. But in a holographic framework, that distinction collapses. If the world is a projection and consciousness is the light source, then changing the light source changes the projection. Not your opinion of the projection. The projection itself. The world you actually encounter. The one that shows up in your lived experience. The one that presents opportunities or obstacles, connections or isolation, is being rendered by the state of your awareness in the moment of rendering. This is not magical thinking. This is the logical consequence of the physics. If information is primary and material reality is a projection of that information, and if consciousness is what activates the projection, then the state of consciousness is a variable in the equation of what appears. If you are feeling the weight of what it means to be the rendering mechanism, there is something deeper I want to offer you. Have you spent years chasing manifestation, visualizing, affirming, raising your vibration, only to watch the same patterns repeat? Every traditional method assumes the same thing, that you are separate from what you want. That separation was never real. You were chasing a signal you were already broadcasting. Beyond the frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery walks through all 9 frequencies. From the dense transmissions trapping you, through the ascending currents, to the master frequencies where consciousness becomes the field. Every method you tried sent a signal outward. This one tunes the signal you already are. Every day you delay, your nervous system broadcasts the same old signal, and breaking free gets harder. So move on it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now let us return to seeing how this rendering works in your direct experience. Let me go deeper into this with something you can test in your own experience. There is a phenomenon in neuroscience called inattentional blindness. The most famous demonstration is the invisible gorilla experiment, conducted by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris in 1999. Participants are asked to watch a video of people passing a basketball and count the number of passes. During the video, a person in a gorilla suit walks into the middle of the scene, beats their chest, and walks off. Fully half the participants do not see the gorilla. Not because it is hidden. It is right there, in plain view, for 9 full seconds. They do not see it because their attention is not tuned to it. Their consciousness is configured to render basketballs, and so the gorilla does not make it into the projection. This is not a failure of the eyes. The light from the gorilla enters the retina. The photons are absorbed. The signal reaches the visual cortex. But somewhere between raw data and conscious experience, the gorilla is filtered out. It does not become part of the rendered world. And here is what matters. For those participants, in that moment, the gorilla genuinely does not exist in their experienced reality. It is not that they see it and ignore it. It is not there. Their world, the one they are actually living in, does not contain a gorilla. The information is present. The rendering excludes it. Now scale that up. Scale it to your entire life. How much of what is actually present in your informational environment is being excluded from your rendering because your attention is not tuned to it? How many opportunities are you not seeing? How many connections are you filtering out? How many solutions are standing in plain view, chest beating, while you count basketballs? This is not about positive thinking. Positive thinking operates at the level of the projection, trying to rearrange the images on the screen. What I am describing operates at the level of the light source. It is about the fundamental configuration of your awareness, the tuning of the coherent light that renders your holographic experience. And that tuning is not fixed. It is not set at birth. It is not determined by your past. It is happening right now. It is always happening right now. Because the hologram is not a static image. It is being rendered continuously in every moment by the state of consciousness that is reading the plate. There is a practice I want to offer you here, and I want you to try it not as an exercise but as an experiment. Right now, wherever you are, let your eyes soften. Do not look at anything in particular. Let your visual field become wide, peripheral, inclusive. Instead of focusing on one object, let your awareness hold the entire field at once. Notice what happens. The room does not change, but your experience of the room changes. Depth shifts, edges soften, space seems to breathe. Details you were not aware of a moment ago begin to surface. The hum of a device, the texture of light on a wall, the temperature of the air on your skin. What you just did is change the coherence of your perceptual light. You moved from a narrow, focused beam, which renders a sharp but limited slice of reality, to a wide, coherent field, which renders more of the available information. You did not change the holographic plate. You changed the light passing through it, and the projection changed in response. This is not a metaphor. This is the mechanism, and it extends far beyond visual perception. Consider what happens at the level of belief. A belief in this framework is a standing configuration of your rendering system. It is a persistent tuning of the coherent light. If you believe that the world is fundamentally hostile, that belief acts as a filter on the holographic rendering. It does not merely color your interpretation. It determines which information gets rendered into your experienced reality, and which information remains latent, present, but invisible, like the gorilla. You will encounter hostility not because you are attracting it in some mystical sense, but because your rendering system is tuned to make hostility visible and to leave kindness, opportunity, and connection in the unrendered potential of the information field. And the reverse is equally true. Not because the universe is rewarding you for good thoughts, because the rendering system is inclusive. When the light is coherent, more of the information becomes visible. When awareness is open, relaxed, present, the hologram renders more of what is actually there. And what is actually there, at the level of the information, is far more vast, far more interconnected, and far more supportive than what most people's habitual rendering allows them to see. I am curious about something. What belief have you been carrying that you now suspect might be a rendering filter rather than a fact about reality? Drop it in the comments. Sometimes just naming it is the first step in changing what your hologram shows you. David Bohm saw this. Bohm was a protege of Einstein, one of the most significant physicists of the 20th century, and he spent the last decades of his life developing what he called the implicate order. His framework is strikingly compatible with the holographic principle, though he arrived at it from a different direction. Bohm proposed that what we call reality has two orders. The explicate order is the world of separate objects, the world of surfaces and distances, the world your senses report. The implicate order is the deeper level, where everything is enfolded into everything else, where separation does not exist, where the information is whole and undivided. The explicate order, he said, is continuously unfolding from the implicate order. It is being projected, moment by moment, from a deeper source. What Bohm added that pure physics does not is the role of meaning. He argued that meaning is not something the mind adds to a meaningless universe. Meaning is a real force in the implicate order. It shapes what unfolds. It determines which possibilities become actual. And consciousness, in Bohm's framework, is the activity of meaning. It is the process by which the implicate order becomes the explicate order. It is not watching the projection. It is doing the projecting. This connects to something the Vedantic traditions described thousands of years before: holographic plates or quantum experiments. In Advaita Vedanta, the world of separate forms is called Maya, which is usually translated as illusion, but more accurately means that which is measured out. It is not that the world is unreal. It is that the world is a measured out portion of something immeasurable. The forms are real, but they are not the whole. They are renderings, projections, measured out slices of an infinite information field, filtered through the particular tuning of an individual awareness. The Vedantic sages called the deeper reality Brahman, the undivided whole from which all forms arise. And they said something that sounds mystical until you hear it through the holographic principle. They said Atman is Brahman. The individual awareness is the universal awareness. The light passing through one point of the holographic plate is the same light that illuminates the whole plate. You are not a separate observer looking at the hologram. You are the hologram becoming aware of itself through a localized point of rendering. This is what makes the holographic model not just intellectually interesting, but existentially transformative, because it redefines what you are. In the standard materialist model, you are a biological machine that produces consciousness as a byproduct. In the holographic model, consciousness is primary, and you are a localized expression of it, a point where the information field renders itself into experience. You are not in the hologram. You are the hologram's way of experiencing itself. And this changes everything about how you relate to your own life. Because if you are the rendering mechanism, you are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of a fixed, external, objective world. The world you experience is a function of the consciousness you bring to it. Not in a superficial, just think happy thoughts way. In a deep, structural, information-theoretic way. The quality of your attention determines the resolution of your reality. The coherence of your awareness determines how much of the available information becomes visible. The beliefs you hold determine which aspects of the infinite potential get rendered into form. Let me bring this to something concrete, something that happens in your life regularly, and that you have probably never examined through this lens. You know the experience of walking into a room and immediately sensing the atmosphere. Before anyone speaks, before you consciously register any particular detail, you know whether the room is tense or relaxed, welcoming or hostile. You feel it. It is not a thought. It is a felt sense, immediate and total. In the standard model, this is explained as unconscious processing of micro-expressions, body language, subtle environmental cues. And that is partly true, but it does not explain the totality of the experience. It does not explain how you can feel the residue of an argument that ended 20 minutes before you arrived. It does not explain how you can sense what someone behind you is feeling without seeing their face. In the holographic model, this makes sense, because in a hologram, every point contains information about the whole. The information about the room's state is not localized in the facial expressions of the people in it. It is distributed through the entire information field. And your consciousness, when it is coherent and open, can read that field directly. Not through the narrow channel of the five senses, through the broader channel of resonance. You are a pattern of information, and the room is a pattern of information. And when two patterns share a field, they inform each other. This is not extrasensory perception in the paranormal sense. It is ordinary perception operating at a level that the materialist model does not account for, but that the holographic model predicts. This is also why practices like meditation produce such profound changes in people's lives, changes that seem disproportionate to the simplicity of the practice. Sitting still and paying attention should not, by any materialist logic, transform your relationships, your health, your creativity, your sense of meaning. But it does. Reliably. Across cultures. Across centuries. And in the holographic model, the reason is clear. Meditation increases the coherence of consciousness. It is like cleaning the lens of the projector. It is like stabilizing the light source. When the light becomes more coherent, the hologram renders at higher resolution. More information becomes visible. More of what was always there but filtered out begins to appear. The world does not change. Your rendering of the world changes. And since your rendering is your world, the lived effect is the same. There is a specific meditative practice that maps directly onto the holographic principle. And I want to walk you through it now because it is not something you will find in most meditation traditions, at least not framed this way. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes if you can. And begin by noticing the boundary of your body, the edges, the skin, the places where you end and the room begins. Feel that boundary clearly, the temperature differential between inside and outside, the pressure of clothing, the contact with whatever surface supports you. Now, very gently, let your attention expand past that boundary. Not imagining something, just allowing your felt sense to include more. The air around your body, the space of the room, the sounds that exist beyond the walls. Do not try to perceive anything specific. Just let the boundary of your felt awareness become less defined, softer, more permeable. What you may notice is that as the boundary softens, something else shifts. The sense of being a separate point, a localized observer looking out at a world, begins to loosen. Not disappear, loosen. And in that loosening, there is a quality of awareness that is wider than your body, wider than your thoughts, wider than your usual sense of self. It is not dramatic. It is subtle. But it is unmistakable once you feel it. What you are doing, in holographic terms, is relaxing the localization of your rendering point. You are allowing your consciousness to operate less like a narrow beam and more like a wide field. And in that wider field, the boundary between observer and observed becomes less rigid. Because at the level of the information, at the level of the holographic plate, that boundary does not exist. It is a feature of the rendering, not of the source. When you soften the rendering, you get a glimpse of the source. Stay with that for a moment. There is no place you need to get to. Just notice what is here when the boundary loosens. Now let me take you to something that will tie this together in a way that might change how you move through the rest of your day. In 2017, a team of physicists and cosmologists published a study examining the cosmic microwave background radiation, the oldest light in the universe, the afterglow of the Big Bang. They were looking for a specific signature, a pattern that would be present if the early universe was holographic in structure. The signature involves a particular kind of correlation in the temperature fluctuations of the microwave background, a pattern that a three-dimensional universe would not produce, but a holographic one would. They found it. The data was consistent with a holographic origin of the universe. Not proof in the definitive sense, but substantial, peer-reviewed evidence that the universe, at its earliest and most fundamental level, behaves as though it is a holographic projection. This means the holographic principle is not just a mathematical curiosity about black holes. It is not just an elegant correspondence in string theory. It may be the actual architecture of the cosmos. The universe you were born into, the one you have been navigating for your entire life, may be, at its deepest level, a holographic projection of information encoded on a boundary you cannot see, rendered into three-dimensional experience by the activity of consciousness. And you are already inside it. You have always been inside it. There was never an outside. The question was never whether you are in the hologram. The question is what you do now that you know. Here is what most people do. Nothing. They hear this. They find it fascinating. They file it away. And they go back to treating reality as solid, fixed, external, and independent of their awareness. They go back to counting basketballs while gorillas walk through their lives unseen. They go back to rendering a narrow, habitual slice of the information field and calling it the whole of reality. But you do not have to do that. And the fact that you are still here, still listening, suggests that something in you does not want to do that. So let me give you something practical, not a belief to adopt. A way of moving through your day that is consistent with the architecture of reality as physics is revealing it to be. First, treat your attention as the most consequential thing you possess. Not your money, not your time even, your attention. Because in a holographic universe, attention is what determines what gets rendered. Where you place your attention is quite literally where your reality gets generated. Most people's attention is hijacked dozens of times an hour by stimuli designed to capture it. Notifications, headlines, other people's urgency. Every hijack is a redirection of your rendering mechanism. Every hijack changes what world you are living in. Reclaiming your attention is not a productivity hack. It is an ontological act. It is taking back control of what reality you inhabit. Second, notice your beliefs not as opinions, but as rendering instructions. Every belief you hold is a standing order to your perceptual system about what to include and what to exclude from your experienced reality. The belief, "I am not good enough," is not just a feeling. It is a filter. It renders a world in which evidence of your inadequacy is vivid and evidence of your capability is invisible. Not because the evidence is not there, because the rendering excludes it. Changing a belief is not positive thinking. It is reprogramming the holographic renderer. And it changes what shows up in your life. Not because the universe is rewarding you, but because you are finally allowing yourself to see what was always there. Third, practice widening your coherence regularly. The exercise I walked you through a few minutes ago, softening the boundary, expanding the felt sense, is not just relaxation. It is a recalibration of the rendering system. It moves you from narrow, habitual, filtered perception to wide, coherent, inclusive perception. Do it for 2 minutes in the morning. Do it when you are stuck. Do it when you are afraid. Not to escape the fear, but to render more of the reality that exists alongside the fear. The reality that fear's narrow beam cannot illuminate. Fourth, understand that in a holographic universe, separation is a feature of the rendering, not of the reality. The sense that you are fundamentally separate from other people, from the natural world, from the source of your own existence, is an artifact of localized rendering. It is what the hologram looks like from one point. But the information on the plate is undivided. Every point contains the whole. When you soften the localization, when you widen the coherence, the felt sense of separation softens too. Not as a concept, as a direct experience. And in that experience, compassion is not a moral effort. It is a natural consequence of perceiving accurately. You are kind to others not because you should be, but because at the level of the information, there are no others. There is one field, rendering itself through billions of points, each one containing the whole. This is what the mystics have always said. This is what the physicists are beginning to confirm. And this is what you already know, in those flickering moments in the grocery store, in the parking lot, in the hallway of your own home, when the solidity of the world wavers and something deeper shows through. Those moments are not glitches. They are glimpses. They are moments when your rendering system relaxes its grip just enough for you to see the plate behind the projection. If this shifted something in you, consider sharing this video with someone you know who is ready to hear it. When you share these ideas, you are not just passing along information. You are widening the coherence of the field itself. The act of transmitting this understanding reinforces it in your own rendering system, while opening a new point of awareness in someone else. And that creates a ripple in the information field that benefits both of you in ways that often show up as synchronicities you could not have planned. You are already living inside the hologram. You have been living inside it since before you drew your first breath. The question was never about discovering this. The question is about what you do with the knowing. Do you go back to sleep inside the projection, treating it as the whole of reality? Or do you begin to live as what you actually are, a point of consciousness through which an infinite information field renders itself into experience, with the power to change the rendering by changing the quality of the light? The hologram does not need you to fix it. It does not need you to escape it. It needs you to see it clearly. Because the moment you see it clearly, you stop being trapped inside a fixed world, and you start being the awareness through which a fluid world continuously becomes. That is not a theory. That is the most intimate fact of your existence, and it has been waiting, patiently, encoded in every moment of your life, for you to notice. There is one more thing I want to leave you with, and it is perhaps the most radical implication of everything we have explored together. In a standard hologram, the kind you might have seen on a credit card or in a physics demonstration, the image is fixed. The information on the plate does not change. But the hologram you are living in is not static. It is participatory. The plate is being written and read simultaneously. Every act of consciousness, every moment of attention, every shift in belief, every widening or narrowing of awareness writes new information onto the plate, even as it reads what is already there. You are not just the light passing through the hologram. You are also the hand holding the etching tool. The projection you experience is not predetermined. It is co-created, in real time, by you. This is why the future is not fixed. This is why prediction is probabilistic, not deterministic. This is why the delayed choice experiment shows the future editing the past. Because in a participatory hologram, time is not a rigid sequence. It is a dimension of the rendering, flexible, responsive, shaped by the consciousness that moves through it. The future you fear is one possible rendering. The future you desire is another. And the one that becomes actual depends, in ways that physics is only beginning to formalize, but that your direct experience has always confirmed, on the state of consciousness you bring to this moment. Not to the future, to now. Because now is when the rendering happens. Now is always when the rendering happens. So if you are sitting here having listened to all of this, and some part of you is asking, what do I do with this? The answer is deceptively simple. You do not do anything with it. You let it change what you are. You let the understanding sink below the level of concept and into the level of being. You stop treating yourself as a small, separate thing navigating a large, indifferent world, and you start treating yourself as the point where the whole becomes local, where the infinite becomes specific, where the field becomes a life. You are already inside the hologram. You have always been inside it. And now that you see it, the rendering will never look quite the same. If something in this landed for you, if it shifted something or opened a question you want to keep exploring, subscribe to this channel. Not for more content, for continued remembering. Because the hologram is very good at making you forget. And sometimes, all it takes to remember is a voice that speaks to the part of you that already knows. I will see you in the next one.